Okay, good morning, everybody, and welcome to this week's virtual plant clinic. My name is Bill Lester. I'm with University of Florida IFAS Extension Service here in Hernando County, and joining me today is boom. There's Lily.
Thank you.
We have new sound effects.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Good. I was hoping to surprise somebody with that. So,
It
joining me
sounded like
today.
rain, actually. I thought it was rain for a second.
No, it's not. It's not raining that hard here.
We need it to rain that much, but it's raining a little.
Not here. Not a whole lot. It's been really sunny and very not rainy generally.
Now would be a good time to go around and get rid of all the standing water and little places with water in your yard, because there's nothing but mosquito breeders right now. So, it stopped raining. You can get out, you can take a look and see where the water is standing. If you find any real water, get rid of it. Who needs the mosquitoes?
Yeah.
The things that eat them need them.
Where I live, I've really never had a problem with mosquitoes.
But you're not in a very wet area either.
My neighbors must do a very good job of dumping the standing water and not having tires in the backyard or buckets or anything like that. So
the heart of Spring Hill doesn't have as many problems as places in Brooksville, low-lying areas like off of Wisconsin. Then on the other side of 19, all that Arapika, everything going down towards
salt marsh mosquitoes out there.
Yeah, exactly. All those wet areas, Weeki Wachee Acres, all of that, where you have natural standing water. But you don't, like as Bernie said, you don't need to add to it. You go out, find all those hiding places you're not thinking about, like tarps, the littlest little fold in a tarp that can hold water, toys, animal toys, kid toys, little dump trucks,
little trays that you might have underneath a potted plant.
Yep.
They hold water.
Tires, sometimes tree holes. So what would you do?
Tires are a big one.
Yeah.
I mean,
tires. Go ahead, Colby.
So, as we know, I'm from Sumter County, where, having a few tires in the yard is a little bit more common than it is in Spring Hill. But that was a big thing that we did. I had to do all the time.
Mandatory, isn't it?
Yeah, that was like one of the chores that we had as kids, was to go out and dump out all the tires.
Well, because they attract the specific, isn't it, the tiger mosquito or something? Yeah.
Well, no, the Aedes aegypti and the other one, they breed in very small amounts of water. They're like flower pot mosquitoes.
Sure.
They breed around people, in tires, pots, gutters.
What if you love and have a bunch of bromeliads?
They get a different species of mosquito in them, and they will bite the heck out of you, but they're not really bad with transmitting diseases. So, I mean, that doesn't make them good, but you don't have to worry as much about, being infected with some kind of mosquito-borne disease.
Well, I think the thing with bromeliads is nature is not going to put 25 of them in one place. Nature kind of spreads them out more. We like their look, so for attractiveness, we put them all under a big old oak tree or something, and therefore then you have all those little cups of water holding all of that. Hey, Bobby, haven't heard from you in a long time. Holding all of that. So what if you want them and you don't want the mosquitoes, you have to be diligent. You can crumble up some of the mosquito dunks with BT in them, or just go out there every day with a hose and swish out the old water to put in the new, to disrupt that egg cycle.
I've noticed that when the mosquitoes start to increase, that I get swarms of dragonflies, and they seem to be a very effective predator on mosquitoes. I don't know if they are or not, but
They
Mhm.
are. They eat
it
a lot.
appears that way.
Mhm.
And I'll have
They're
maybe 30 in a swarm.
they're predators of mosquitoes in more than one life cycle. The dragonfly larvae will go after the mosquito larvae in the water too. So they're dodging them their entire lives.
Yeah, I know if you have a garden pond, obviously you want to make sure you're not breeding mosquitoes in it. But if you do have, you can get mosquito fish here in Hernando County for free from mosquito control. You can get goldfish, you can get koi, or you could let it just be a little bit more natural. And if you have some debris and sediment and leaves at the very bottom of it, you will get dragonflies in there. And all of them eat mosquito larvae.
Here in Pennsylvania, I think I told you the last time I was on, we have the spotted lanternfly that is the big invasive species bug that everyone's paying a lot of attention to. So a couple weeks ago, milkweed was going to be the answer, killing all the spotted lanternfly, which I'm sure that a spotted lanternfly tries to eat some milkweed, it's going to die. Milkweed's poisonous, to many things. Not our monarchs, not our queens, not the aphids, not the milkweed bugs, not some other things, but so it is poisonous to spotted lanternfly. This week, people have noticed dragonflies eating spotted lanternflies. So that's the new answer.
Oh.
And I'm sure all of these things are occurring, and not one of them is the single answer. But you notice it's always the things people are looking at. They're looking at their milkweed. They're looking at the dragonflies. So then they happen to notice, hey, they're eating some spotted lanternflies. What is the correlation is not necessarily causation.
Have you noticed that our invasive exotics have been better looking the past few years? That we're getting things that are a lot prettier, destroying the whole place.
Well, now we have those really cool chameleons in some areas of Central Florida. Apparently, breeders went and deliberately released them to breed in the wild, and then they would come back and catch them because you could sell them for a couple $100 each. But they're really pretty chameleons. Give me a minute, I'll try to find something on that.
Yeah, spotted lanternflies are very pretty as well. I mechanically control any that I happen to see, and I apologize to them first. One thing I've learned about them is they can't jump backwards. So if you want to swat them, you stand in front of them and they won't go anywhere. This seems pretty unfair, but but there are people who have swarms of them, so taking off a shoe and swatting them is not necessarily the answer. And Penn State has, of course, publications on the proper chemicals and procedures in which to do it.
There we go. How would you like to see one of these guys, like in one of the bushes out in front of your house?
How big is he?
I'm not sure.
I've never,
Probably
in
gets the better part of a foot long.
the 45 years I lived in Florida, because I was in Central Florida, I never walked outside and saw like a 3-foot lizard out in the yard, but I really do think I would completely freak out if I did.
Well, now we do have tegu lizards, and they can get 4 feet long. And they can survive the cold very well. They're not tropical. They're from Argentina. They can go as far north as Kentucky. How far away from Kentucky are you?
Well, it depends on what part of Kentucky you're talking about. My boss is from there, and she spends time with her parents there. But her home is kind of in southern Pennsylvania in Washington County. So 4 hours. So that's all her trip is, which is amazing to think about. But she's in the part of Kentucky that is pretty much Cincinnati. So, yeah. But I just told you I help moderate state Facebook page for Penn State. So this one question I thought about bringing up here because it is so universal. This person wants to know how she can grow thick, luscious, beautiful grass under her oak trees.
She probably can't, just like you can't down here in Florida.
I was going to say, just forget about the grass, do something else. You can grow plenty of luscious stuff under oak trees in Florida, but grass isn't really one of the easy ones.
Well, because she was insistent that there had been until the most previous owners had been there, and it absolutely can be done. So I gave her the same answer. I put a Penn State publication on there because I really don't know the ins and out of Pennsylvania turf. I'm just assuming turf is turf and none of it's going to love shade. But I didn't want to, make that generalized statement. So I sent her a Penn State publication that talks about it. And then I told her that, the things I know, because I actually years ago, I don't know if you remember, Bill, there was a community east of Brooksville, mobile home community that was under the biggest, most beautiful oak trees. And they absolutely insisted, remember, they insisted in these public areas, they wanted grass. So we went, and I don't remember if you were there. I know that I was, and I know you've been there with me before, how growing turf grass in the shade. And I made it clear that this is like temporary. This is how the things you're going to have to do to have some grass for a while, in these shady areas. And well, for there, it was not have Bahia grass for one thing.
Yeah.
It was, and the same thing here, Penn State was saying the same thing. Mow it twice as high as the rest of your grass. They talked about, I swear in Florida it said fertilize less. Penn State said to fertilize more in that area. And I'm thinking, well, what about the fertilizer? You're going to, put in all this nitrogen on this tree and the tree won't like it, And I added in, and nobody walk under there ever.
Yeah, it won't take a lot of traffic.
Following those things, you might have some grass for a couple seasons.
Okay. Limb the tree up so you get some light underneath.
Limb the tree up. Yep. And other than that, if you're looking for long term, it's pick one. Which is more important to you, that tree or the grass? I can tell you which is more important to the environment. So the grass ain't doing nothing for the environment. Not much, maybe soaking in some water to prevent some stormwater runoff. But then it might be doing a lot for chinch bugs or something. But that tree is going to support over 400 different species of wildlife in various ways and functions. So there are other things you can put under those shade trees, but also people tend to want to bring in a bunch of soil and cover up the roots. What happens when that happens, Bernie?
Well, everything dies. When I first came to Florida, there were two houses that I was looking at. One house was just kind of a nice little house, and they wanted way too much money. And the other house, the fellow had dug a pond and had fish, and I would go over and talk to him, the builder, developer of these two houses. And he would feed the fish, and the fish were a couple of feet long. And if he walked up to the pond, nothing happened. He walked up to the pond, all these fish would show up. He'd get his little bag and he'd feed them. Well, in order to make this place beautiful, he had left all the oak trees, but he had raised the soil levels to make the pond. So here's all these beautiful oak trees with an extra foot or 2 feet of soil up now. And it looked really good, and it surprised me. It lasted almost 5 years. And of course, you know exactly what it's like now. The entire backyard is totally clear. There's not a tree standing any place anymore. The pond was not really a success. It was too difficult to maintain a pond in sandy soil. Uh, it worked until the clay kind of readjusted itself, and now the water goes right through it. So anytime you increase the soil above the roots aren't going to like it. People don't understand
Yeah.
that the leaves take in carbon dioxide, the roots take in oxygen. And if the roots can't get the oxygen they want, the tree doesn't breathe. It's just like a person. If you cover your face so you don't get the air, eventually you do funny things and fall over. And that's exactly what happened to all those oak trees. So, people have this thing where there's roots that pop up and destroy my sidewalk. So they go out and they either raise everything, which the roots don't like, or they cut the roots off, which the tree doesn't like that at all.
Mm-hmm.
And, proper maintenance is one of those things, just like there's no real good education on how to take care of your body. You go to a specialist, a doctor, and the doctor tells you, and if you ignore him, you end up with problems. Well, people go to a specialist, they get the education that they need, and then they ignore the good advice, and I don't understand it. They would rather listen to the next door neighbor that says, just cover those roots up with some more dirt, than to listen to somebody that is a tree specialist, for instance. And we have some really great people in the county in the tree business. And if you call them and say, come out and work on my trees, they'll come out and they'll tell you what the trees really need. And then if you say, no, that's not what I want, do this, they'll do that. They're there for the money, but they told you the truth up front. And
right. Treesaregood.org. That's where you can find certified arborists from anywhere in the United States.
All the major tree places in the county now have legitimate arborists on the staff. So,
and you can find them by going to treesaregood.org, putting in your zip code 34607 or whatever it is, where you live, and choose, I want to know ones within 25 miles of my house, and they'll pop up. And you can do that in Idaho. You can do that here in Pennsylvania. You can do it in Texas. It's all a nice, the International Society of Arboriculture runs that, and it's a very useful tool. Other groups need to get that efficient and organized.
I find it interesting that...
Yes, you're an arborist. You have that certification.
I have my certificate right there, I believe. So
are you going to come out and do people's trees? You're going to climb in the trees and...
No, I gave up tree climbing when I was about 12 or 13.
They have some really nice equipment anymore.
Yeah.
They bring out a big crane. A guy rides a crane up into the top of the tree, ties off parts of the tree, starts taking it down in sections, and they're done, and you don't have any damage to anything, and it's wonderful. Rather than hire one of those people that knows what they're doing and has the $250,000 worth of equipment to do it, they like the guy with the big truck that has no name on it, or maybe it's painted on with a brush. and he goes up and cuts the tree off, and if it falls on your garage and destroys your garage, well, he's gone. He has no insurance, and you can't find him again no matter how hard you try, because he's off in the next county doing his thing again. So
there's a sign on my way to work, a little corrugated sign that people put up that says Black Lab, tree service, and stump grinding, and the phone number. And I think, you must have some amazing black lab, because my black lab does not want to work that hard.
Yeah, you really have to be careful with all that. And, we'll get phone calls from people with tree questions or issues or problems. Basically, there's two kinds of tree services out there. One is just a tree service. If you have a tree and you want the tree cut down and gone, you don't know what kind of tree it is. You don't care what kind of tree it is. It's dead. It got hit by lightning. It fell over, whatever it might be. You just want to cut down and gone. You can call a tree service because they do a fine job at that. Make sure they have workman's comp. Make sure they're insured. So if the tree falls on your house, they'll cover it. If one of their guys gets hurt, they'll cover it. But if you're having questions about, I have big trees, what kind of tree is it? Is it healthy? Is it sick? Does it need to be pruned, trimmed, maintained, something done to it? For that, you really need to call an arborist because they'll come out and they'll give you the straight answer. Had somebody just the other day who had a tree and had 2 different services come out, and I didn't recognize the names of either one. I think they're just tree services. One said it had some kind of fungus, but it would last for a number of years. And the other one said it got hit by lightning. Those are 2 very different things.
Yeah.
You have an arborist look at it, they will give you the straight answer and information about what happened to it and what should be done. Tree services, oh my gosh, sometimes these people just make up some of the wildest stuff I've ever heard. I had a lady call and send pictures of a maple tree, and it must have gotten hit by a car because it was near the driveway and lower on the trunk. There's just a big chunk torn out of it, and it's oozing and goozing like maple trees will do, and there's flies attracted to it. So the lady's question is, what insecticide do I get to get rid of the flies? I said, oh honey, that's not your biggest problem.
No.
The problem is the maple tree, when it gets that kind of damage, will die. Maybe not, it might not be dead today, but it will die, and before it dies it gets really unstable and may fall on your car, your house. I don't know what's within reach of it.
If you follow the etymology that people, when they're very stoic, they call them an oak, you're an oak, because that's associated with stoicism. And the reason behind that is oaks and other trees won't tell you they're sick until they're on hospice, unfortunately.
Yes. And when Bernie was talking about burying a tree too deep, it will kill a tree in 1 to 3 years normally.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody, they call and they say, I have a tree, and all of a sudden it died last night. It's been beautiful until last night, and it died all of a sudden in the middle of the night. And so you look at it, and it's buried like a foot too deep, because we see even professional landscapers and home builders, they put the trees in the ground too deep. Don't do that. So you look at it, oh, well, they buried it too deep. That's why it died. That can't be it. This tree's been here for 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. It's like, it'll do it.
Do you know how long trees tend to live for?
Yes.
Well, it's really funny. I feel like pretty often, we'll talk about, some plant-related topic, and it veers into life advice. So here's the life advice for the day. If you're going to hire somebody to come to your house and work on your stuff, make sure that you're hiring. Before you give them a bunch of money, make sure that they're licensed, that they're insured, all that. And that's not just for your tree service. That's for absolutely anybody. Just to cover yourself.
You can call Hernando County Building Department. Yeah, in Hernando County, call the Hernando County Building Department, and they have a list of everyone who is registered and licensed and insured. So.
And I think you can even
they don't
call
require licensing in Hernando.
You're right.
Business licenses. I know they did for turf grass fertilizers as a part of GIDMPs and all that.
But they do. What do they have a list of, Colby? I know they have a list because they have.
I think it's contractor, like construction contractors. What you can do,
they have to be licensed with the state.
Well, what you can do is on through Sunbiz, right? Which is how if you've ever made an LLC, that's where you do all that through. You can check the credentials of any business that has an LLC. I think you can even search by name. Like by first and last name. So if it's just some guy, you can look that up and you can see if they've had any complaints. You can see all that stuff. So be sure, before you pay anyone a bunch of money or invite someone onto your property, that you are certain that you're not, I don't want anybody to get scammed, or I don't want anybody to get, have a tree fall in their house. So make sure that you're, doing your due diligence with any of that stuff.
Yeah. Colby was talking about the trees have a definite age. I think it's funny that people will go in and they'll plant 2 rows of laurel oaks down a long driveway. So they've got 50 trees or more, and it looks beautiful. The trees get mammoth, but they only have a 40-year life. So here's a tree that's fine for your lifetime, but you die, the house gets sold. The next poor guy that buys that place, looking at this beautiful driveway, finds out that within 3 or 4 years the trees start dying, and now he's got 50 of these extremely expensive trees to get rid of. Now, live oaks last 300 years, and for most people, they can't tell the difference. So, I
They
always
last
tell
300
people,
years in the wild. They're not
yeah,
going to last 300 years on Main Street.
but
Yeah.
I always tell people, if you want a quick growing shade tree, go ahead and, you're 60 years old, plant a laurel oak and don't worry about it. It's the next guy's problem.
Someone
If,
else will take care of it.
if you're a young man and you want to leave a legacy, plant a live oak. Live oaks are going to be there and look gorgeous for a long time. The one in downtown at restaurant right there in the curve on 41. That thing's got a trunk that's probably 5 foot, maybe more across, maybe 6 feet
Are you
in
talking
diameter.
about Malikilos? Is that the?
No, the it used to be Ma's Vittles, whatever it is now.
Oh yeah, Blair owns that one too. Yes.
In fact, their ads talk
Country
about the
Kitchen or something.
grandfather oak, but
Yeah.
That's a cook shack.
that is a beautiful, beautiful tree. It really is, and it's definitely one of the older ones in the county.
Oh yeah. It's been there since I was there in 78. I'm sure it was there since 1878.
Oh yeah, that
Yeah.
tree's at least 250 years old.
And it's surrounded by nothing but asphalt and cement, and it's lived a long life for being in those inhospitable conditions. But people are going to lose their minds when its life is over.
Some of the cypress trees here will go 500-600 years. I guess we actually have some that are 700 years old, and that's really sad because there are people out looking to cut down 700-year-old trees to turn them into mulch. So don't buy
cypress mulch.
Buy Melaleuca mulch. We want to get rid of
Exactly.
Melaleuca trees.
That's why you don't buy cypress mulch, because they're just taking the cypress trees down to immediately zoom them into mulch to sell to you.
It's a pretty common. I'm sure you guys have got calls like this too. You'll get they're doing something outside. You'll get a call from somebody who says, "Oh, I just inherited a house from my grandmother or my grandfather, and I have this plant that was planted, and it's a problem now." And it's like, your grandpa wasn't planted. He didn't really care if you had to deal with it later. I've gotten quite a few like that.
Yeah. Well, around here, the interesting part of here in Western Pennsylvania is, there are a ton of trees. I'm looking at a whole bunch of trees, out my window. Probably none of them are more than 100 years old because of the history of this area: coal mining, building for construction to support the coal mining, the steel mills. Colby's boss always made fun of how I would say that, but here I can say it the way everybody else does. It's just a steel mill, and
Steel mill.
all the industry. You look back in pictures of the 1920s and 30s, there's no trees in the background. So all the trees that are here are only like 100 years old. You have to go to certain areas, to find that for somehow escaped to find some of the old growth trees. So Florida being slower in the development phase compared to the rest of the country, except for
we're catching up.
And you're quickly catching up.
If it makes you feel any better, she makes fun of the way I talk too. Even though you and I have pretty different accents, she still finds things that pick at me for.
She's right in the middle of the country and is accentless, so she gets to pick on the rest of us.
Okay.
You probably say wolf wrong too, just like I too.
Yep, that's one of the big ones.
Yeah.
Okay, it looks like Ann just purchased a UF finger lime. That's great.
Oh,
I have one in my yard. Bernie, didn't you get one?
I do. I have one. In fact, I was out looking at it Monday.
Mine's doing very well. Not, I wouldn't. Mine's not really a really fast grower. If I took better care of it, it would probably grow a little bit faster than it has been, but seems to be fairly drought tolerant. This last winter, it was cold tolerant. I'm not sure what the low temperature it can survive is. I say if you just planted the tree, you need to go out there and water it every day till it gets established and settled in. Then after that, just water as needed when it's sunny and hot and dry, at least a couple times a week, similar to how you would water a citrus tree. But they seem to be fairly drought tolerant.
The one thing to look for on that I've had problems with is growth below the budding spot. They're grafted trees, and if you have any growth below the graft, remove it because it will slow down the growth of the tree itself, and you don't want that growth to come up at all. It's detrimental to the tree entirely. So.
Yes, and they have really big, sharp thorns. Lots of thorns.
Lots of them, yes.
A lot of them.
Hey, Bill, I emailed you something that just to brag that I can grow here and that people and try to grow in Florida, and I've seen them even sold in Florida. So if you can find that email and show that picture.
What is that, a dahlia?
Yep. Can you show the picture?
Yeah, you need to give me a moment to open my
And I've seen them.
Florida.
page
It's
here.
not very long.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen them in the stores, but they're on the cheap rack.
Well, they're like a 30-60 day plant in Florida.
Yeah.
Had somebody last week ask about that. They were kind of upset that they weren't having any success. That was about all the success you're going to get, 30-60 days.
It's like, yeah, you might as well, get Easter lilies from church or something. Have you ever had success like replanting Easter lilies from the grocery store or poinsettias? You have?
Yeah.
How long do they last?
Well, the biggest problem I've got is remembering to water what's in the pot. The lilies seem to do okay. That's the only one that I've tried.
That was
Here we go. Flower for today,
beautiful.
not from my yard.
Yes, it's from my yard. A lady I know in one of the watershed groups I'm in, she split it. She said she didn't know what she was doing, but she obviously split it well. And it grew. It's like that flower that you see there, and there's a couple others coming, is the result of a 4-foot tall, 3-foot wide, lots of leafy stuff going on before the flower comes. And they say you should plant it and fertilize it. I never fertilized it. And you can see the flower is still pretty. So now my conundrum, because I'm hearing 50-50. November or so, when it all freezes back, cut it down, dig up the tubers, put them in a cool, dry place. This is the daughter of a mother plant that was just covered in a bunch of mulch over the winter and kept in the ground.
You could do that.
Me being lazy as I am, I think that's the route I'm going to try, because if it was good enough for this dahlia's mother, it should be good enough for it. And I still have a pretty big pile of mulch that I can get some and put on there, see how that goes. And the winters just are they're just not as fierce as they once were here in southwestern Pennsylvania. But that's
Okay, maybe you'll get a really good winter this year, and then you'll be whining about it's a vortex.
could be. I mean, last year it was pretty cold.
Yeah.
We just didn't
When I was
get
a
any
kid in
snow.
Maryland, we didn't have polar vortexes. We have blizzards every once in a while.
Yeah.
We just have winter, and it would snow, and it get cold sometimes.
Yeah.
And sometimes it was worse than other times.
Everybody will tell you here in the past 20, 30 years, just doesn't snow like it used to. And, you know, things are changing everywhere. And so people move to Florida. They want to do the dahlias. They want to have tulips. They want to have all these. They want to have pansies and petunias in the summer. You can have pansies and petunias all you want, just in the winter. Then up here, I want, you know, I want a key lime. I want a bigger lime. I want to grow a Myers lemon.
Well, you can do a key lime. You can pot one. That's one plant that does extremely well in a pot. Myers lemon is not going to do extremely well in a pot.
Yeah, and now in the day and age of citrus greening, they're going to die.
Right.
I knew somebody in Sanford over outside of Orlando, and this was years ago before greening was a problem. This is a lot of years ago. They had a key lime tree, and the thing was huge. It looked like a massive bush because it was just very, very dense. And key limes tend to have small leaves, small branches. Thing was as tall as their house. During the winter, it would always get a bit of damage, but it was so big that the winters were never bad enough to kill it. It always had flowers, tiny fruit, and ripe fruit on it pretty much year round. But that was definitely the exception. They lived in a very heavily wooded, slightly warmer area, gave them a good amount of protection all around their yard, really.
I have a pot my sister made for me. It's like a big bowl of coleus. It's beautiful. And I wanted the particular coleus that she had because it's a really deep, dark purple. And it's in there surrounded by some other coleus on my porch, looking beautiful. And every time I look at it, I'm like, well, if you were in Florida, you'd be in the ground, you would freeze, and I'd see you next year. But you're not, and I have to figure out what to do with you, and I guess it's going to come in and go in the bay window. I'm not sure what else.
Will they freeze and die up there?
Oh, yeah.
So you can't have them in the ground year-round?
No. Okay. Right.
Because I know the nurseries for them are all in Florida.
Right. And so in Florida, in Hernando County, they'll freeze, but their roots won't freeze.
Mm-hmm.
Because the ground's most likely never going to get, below like 48 degrees. Here it will. So you leave them out, they'll die dead. So everyone they have literal house plants here that end up in the house in the winter, whereas in Florida you would just cover them or do what Bill does and I used to do finally, which was survival of the fittest out there.
Yeah.
If you come back, you come back.
So, hey guys, if anybody here with us live has any questions, comments, anything, please just go ahead and put them in the chat and follow up on that. UF finger lime. Ann said, yes, it is grafted. Yeah, they are grafted. And she'll remove the suckers that are below the graft there.
Very important.
And that goes for citrus trees also. Because now I have a sugar bell, greening resistant or tolerant mandarin orange tree, and I have can't remember the name of it, but a greening resistant lemon tree also. They both look really good too, even though it hasn't rained much. I've actually watered them.
Yeah, that's one thing. Watering a citrus tree is important. Mm-hmm. Overwatering it is deadly. They do not like to have wet feet. So if you water, you don't just go out, lay the hose down, turn the hose on, and let it run full blast all day long. That's a
no, because then Colby will come after you anyway too.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't
if
have to
you
worry
want
too
to,
much about drainage at my house. It's pure sand, and it can rain all day. As soon as it finishes raining, it drains away.
if you want to grow a key lime in a pot, I had one in a 5-gallon pot for 12 years, and I'd still have it, except that I had back problems and couldn't move the pot in that winter. But the thing about it is, you have to root prune it. It gets pot bound, and you need to clean out the roots. You can keep the plant like 4 feet tall, 5 feet tall, but you also have to keep modifying the roots. So uh, I would just pull it out every 2 years, root prune it, and repot it, new soil, start over, and uh, it always had fruit. It was the happiest
Yeah.
little plant. So
Yeah.
that's a great plant if you want something citrusy up north.
Yes, and Cindy mentions that there is a disease for palm trees called lethal bronzing, and that is a problem all over Florida. Oh, yes, we have it here in Hernando County. I do believe it's the entire statewide, and there's a number of different species of palms that it affects. We mostly see it on sable palms, also known as cabbage palms, and Sylvester palms and Canary Island date palms. They're the three that get it the most frequently. You can get it on queen palms and several other kinds of palms now also. In Clearwater, they had to remove them all. When a tree, there is no way to cure a tree that gets this disease. You can inject them preventatively, and it will help to prevent the disease. They've done that for many years in South Florida because they had a problem with lethal yellowing of coconut palms, which is, it's not the same disease. It's very, very closely related. It's very similar, but not the exact same. Lethal yellowing hits coconut palms, which we can't grow here. They'll freeze and die. And lethal bronzing affects a number of other palms, but they've injected them for a number of years now. And if you do it correctly and diligently, it is quite effective. But unfortunately, we're losing a lot of palm trees, and they can be very expensive to replace, very expensive to have cut down, expensive to have the stumps ground out, and then put a replacement tree in there if it's in a city property or along a road or something like that. Very expensive.
The county has lost probably more than half of the sable palms at this point. That's been a like wildfire that they've gone through the sables. Uh, the entire top just fell off of my sable palm yesterday. So, uh, but it's been dead for a while. But it was a victim of lethal bronzing. So
I saw somebody, I had a neighbor who had a fairly decent sized Canary Island date palm. And they're the ones with the really, really big trunks. The trunks will get very, very large, a very stout palm. And it got it, and it died. Turned totally brown, bit by bit, all the leaves fell off. Eventually, all the leaves fell off. They didn't do anything, they just left it there. Eventually, the upper half of the trunk rotted through and fell over, but kind of twisted and curled as it did so. So it's laying on the ground. Nobody complained. Nobody did anything. Code enforcement, I guess, doesn't care about that. I noticed just the other day they cleared away the rotted upper part. So now they have the remnants of the trunk that's maybe waist high and just kind of open as a testament, as a memorial to the palm tree that was there. So, if you do absolutely nothing to a very, very large palm tree, eventually nature will take care of it all by itself. It'll take a lot of time, though. Your neighbors may not be really happy with you. Code enforcement won't be. And oh my gosh, if you live in an HOA community, they will plaster your door with notices and they'll charges and everything else. So we don't advise that. But I need to get a picture of it or what's left, the remnants, because that's my kind of guy. It's like, I ain't going to do anything about it. Nature will take its course and take care of it.
that's what I'm counting on.
Bernie, we got a question here for you from Sally. Where can she get her sand? I assume she means soil tested. She doesn't know what kind of trees can grow here.
Well, that's a good question because it's two parts, and the answer to the first part, which is where can I get my sand tested, you can go to your local extension office, get a form and a little bag, and send it off. And this is assuming, by the way, that she's in Florida, that they will test it at the university and send you back all kinds of information and tell you what you need for trees to grow. And where do you get the information on trees? Well, your extension can provide you with the trees, or a wonderful little trick that you need to know about is anytime you have questions on any horticultural thing in Florida, you just Google that particular thing, like what trees can I grow UF? And the UF will automatically move the University of Florida information to the top. And the University of Florida has free information on basically anything that you want to grow in Florida. So that's a great place to start. And you can print it out if you like and know everything there is to know. And if there's a particular tree that you like, you can Google that particular tree UF, and everything that you need to take care of it. It'll tell you all the good features of that plant. It'll tell you all the bad features of that plant. Let you have enough information to decide whether you really should plant that or not. It's a great service. It's free. You've already paid for it. It's a shame more people don't use it.
And she's here in Hernando, in Brooksville.
Oh,
so.
well, just run by our office, and well, we'll give you the things for the soil test, and give you a little information, and even print out the copy on the tree information for you. And we may even throw in a little book that's got all that information in it. So people that are in the county, we do have a few copies, and if you stop by our office, we have this fantastic book. And I'd show you one, but somebody swiped my copy again.
They go quick.
They do.
What book is that, Bernie?
It won't be long, and we won't be able to do that. They're going to start charging us for them, and we do not have the funds in this office to provide something that we're paying for. But as it is right now, we are able to get a few of these, and we pass them on to the people in the county.
What book is that?
It's on its way. I will have it just momentarily. This is without a doubt
FFL picture book.
The number one publication that you need if this is your first shot at growing things in Florida.
I've seen those before.
Does wonders for people. It tells you things that actually grow. This is the answer to. I went to the big box store and I bought a plant and it didn't grow. This book has all the information you need to know whether that plant is capable of growing here. And for some reason, probably money, you can buy a lot of plants that aren't really going to grow here, at least not very well. So this lists all the plants that do well. It's not a totally comprehensive list. It only gives you about, I don't know, maybe 1,000 plants. But these plants all do well if you follow the instructions on what environment they need to be in. So this book covers basic landscaping plants for somebody in Florida. It's a wonderful book. And if you stop by the office, if you haven't got one, stop by, we'll give you one. And you can't beat that price. If you had to buy this book, this is like a $19.95 book, minimum maybe $29.95. So well,
if you don't have them, I know somebody else who would have them. Hint, 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 up there in the upper right corner.
Well, it is a Florida-friendly landscaping book. So
Yes.
Mr. Florida Friendly Landscaping head man.
Yes,
And
Colby has them
also,
also for
can
free.
you, can
For the
you,
moment.
I see.
yes, can you still write to the Southwest Florida Water Management District to have them mail one to you?
I think you can right now. But once again, same with extension and with us, because we get, funny enough, I get mine from SwiftMud.
Yeah.
I think when they start charging for them, I think that goes away. If you ever go to any of my classes or sign up for any of the classes, if they're at the office, just ask me for one. I have a lot. I'll give you one. I want to disseminate that information. But if if you're going to a library class and I'm there, shoot me an email. Say, hey, can you bring me a book? And I would love to. Like I said, I have a lot of them. That's why we have them, is to give them to people who want to use that information to implement these things. So
It's the heaviest thing the Florida Friendly Landscaping Program Coordinator lugs around regularly.
Yes.
They come 48 in a box. I know that.
Mm-hmm. I think each of the boxes are like 32 pounds or something like that. They're pretty hefty.
Mm-hmm. I would keep one. I try to keep one in the van. If
Your
I could have
tax
gotten away with
dollars
it, I
at
would have
work.
kept one in
That's
the
a good
van.
idea. I'm gonna put a few of them in the van. That's a good idea.
Yeah. And so then when you're going to the library, and 15 people are going to be in there, grab just some of them instead of lugging the boxes around. But,
Yeah,
sorry,
you
I
should
had
keep a
to
copy in the
disappear.
van. Just stick it under the driver's seat with the banana peel.
That I didn't know I told you that story.
See, I remember things. I don't think Colby understands that one. We'll have to explain that to him.
I found a banana peel that had to be several years old under the seat of the.
My second, I think like right at the very beginning of like my second or third month here, I was tasked with completely cleaning the van, right? And I found all kinds of stuff, and especially
Don't go any.
nothing terrible. It was nothing gross or terrible, but like just random stuff, and it was just really funny. I was like, it's like a time capsule in here.
Yeah, well, that's the point. Is we keep picking on her. She likes to keep it very, very, very clean, and I had cleaned it several times, but when I found that banana, it was totally petrified. It was pre me having the job.
Yeah.
How old it was.
Yeah, no, there was nothing. There was no banana peels, nothing terrible or gross or anything. Just random little tchotchkes and things. Like it was like promotional. I found some promotional materials,
Well, of course,
things like that. And I'm sure that whoever drives the van after me is going to find them too.
Okay, going back to questions here. Going back with Cindy and the lethal bronzing on palm trees, is there anything to prevent it? Yes, like I said, injecting the trees. And at this point, if your tree is in an area where there's a lot of the disease, they recommend injecting it like every 3 months.
Very expensive, isn't it?
No,
it all depends on who you have doing it. It's not necessarily very expensive.
Okay, but
What
are you injecting it with?
Yeah.
Oh, OTC, which is oxytetracycline.
Yeah,
Let's get into. Is there controversy with putting antibiotics out in the universe into non-mammals?
It's UF recommended.
Okay. I know there are people who don't want that to happen because all that does is build up everybody's resistance. So they say, I don't know how it can be transferred from plant to person, but this is just
if you eat a lot of treated palm trees,
okay,
it's possible to cause a problem. But we're only using a couple dollars worth of OTC per injection. The kit per tree depends on what system you're on. Runs from about $8 to $35 a tree. The injection equipment and the first amount of chemical you need is less than $100. So if you're a homeowner doing it, for under $100, you can get the whole thing that you need to start, and enough chemical to treat at least through the first year. And then, like I say, the treatments only cost you a couple bucks a treatment. So it really isn't too bad. If you had several trees and you were doing them, maybe $100 a year to treat all the trees. And if you're in an area or you have trees that are valuable and there's a good possibility they're going to get damaged, it probably makes good sense.
Oh yeah, if you have a resort or golf course or something where those trees really, those palms are.
You can actually buy all these products from Amazon. It's nothing difficult to obtain.
I just a quick Google search. You can get 30 doses of that OTC for $36, and then the injector is like $15. So there you go.
Where do you inject it?
Trunk.
Yeah, you have to drill 3 holes in the tree.
Anywhere from about waist high to chest high. It doesn't have to be real low. Shouldn't be real low. Shouldn't be really high.
Then it gets because it's a palm tree, so you have all the
veinage is all the way through.
Bernie knew what this meant.
I understood that exactly.
That
makes sense.
Yes, to the non-plant people, you knew what this meant. The growing centers, like an oak, has rings. The cambium layers in palms. It's little pepperonis all over it.
Exactly.
So you get one of those.
When I mentioned that maple tree almost an hour ago that had a big chunk out of the trunk on the outside of it, that's probably going to be terminal and fatal on a maple tree because it takes up all the water and nutrients just inside the bark, right on the outside of it. Palm trees take water and nutrients up and down throughout the entire trunk. So if you knock a chunk out of the trunk, it's obviously not good for a palm tree, but it's not necessarily fatal. I've seen some palm trees with some pretty terrible looking trunks, and people are like, oh my gosh, that looks terrible. Is my tree going to die? For a palm, it won't. For an oak tree or a maple tree or something, good chance it might.
Because it's not a tree. The palms are not trees.
Mm-hmm.
You are correct.
They're a lot closer related to grasses. They're monocots. They share a lot of like physical biological characteristics with things like grasses. Corn, for instance, is also a monocot. So it's all you're all like biologically speaking. No, palms are not trees at all. But effectively,
they function as trees.
Yeah, it's a big hard thing that grows out of the ground. Tends to get pretty tall.
Provides a little shade, not much.
Yeah.
Palm trees.
Yeah, no, you don't really grow palms for a whole lot of shade.
No.
They give you some middle of the day.
You stand make yourself very skinny to fit in the trunk line of shade.
I was watching a video of from some Indians out in Vancouver, British Columbia, and they had taken, I forget what the tree was, but they would take a plank out of the tree. They could get planks like 60 feet long and 4 or 5 inches wide, 6 inches wide, and just cut a big strip right out of the side of the tree. And the trees would recover. So there are these trees that are 200-300 years since the Indians did a strip on them, and they've got this little scar on the side, big scar actually, and they use these big long planks to make canoes, make boats to go fishing. So some trees will tolerate losing a big chunk of the bark and the wood. Some don't, and Florida trees generally don't. So you get a big chunk missing out of the side of a tree in Florida, it's probably gone.
Well, because all the conditions are just perfect for any kind of fungal things to hop right on instantly, in Florida. So.
And I'm going through sharing all of our contact information and phone numbers here. And that's Colby's email. And for anybody interested in our rain barrel or compost bin programs, or just contacting Colby in general, there's this link tree with links to all those different things. And
We've
that's
done it again. We've wasted another hour of people's lives.
Yeah. Oh, quick reminder: we do have a rain barrel workshop Friday of next week, and water awareness. We have an IFAS agent from Sumter County coming to talk about trees, and we also have our county forester coming to talk about trees. Very fun, very interesting. If anyone's interested, please visit that link tree. Sign up. It's very informative. It's a good time.
When is the water awareness? I know that the compost class is next Friday.
Yeah, next Friday. It's Wednesday. Water awareness is Wednesday, September 10th, and the compost bin workshop is Friday, September 12th.
Okay.
The question that's on the screen about the bark on the bottle brush tree, that's one of those things, without seeing it, we can't really be sure. But I would say if it's been that way for a while, probably it's not damaged quite as bad as you think. That is a serious problem in trimming around trees, the base of trees. Everybody either runs into it with a mower or they use a weed eater, and that's really terrible on the trees. Most trees, you would be much better off cleaning around the tree itself with Roundup to move the vegetation a foot away from the tree. Then you don't have any problems tearing it up. But damaging the bark at the base of a tree, you never know if you've damaged the circulation, the phloem and the xylem in there, the tree's going to die. And
a bottle brush is not a monocot. so it's a dicot.
I would say that there's nothing you can do to help it at this point, but I would wait and see if it continues to thrive. I'd let it go, but I would not do any more either mowing or weed trimming around there. I think
weed eater blight is a thing.
Yeah,
yes,
I think Roundup is absolutely the way to go. Not necessarily just Roundup, but glyphosate treatment. Glyphosate does not affect anything that's brown, only affects things that's green. So get it on the green around the tree. Don't spray it on the leaves of the tree. And get also it out so that you can mow around it, or that if you're going to weed eat, that you're not weed eating right up against the trunk.
Yeah, it's also not soil active, so you don't have to worry about the plant uptaking any of that from the soil. Like he said, spray on the green stuff, it'll be fine.
And mulch it there. Just don't put the mulch right on the trunk, because with that damaged trunk, if you put mulch on it, that'd be like putting a wet Band-Aid on a wound, inviting fungal issues, inviting insects, things like that. So mulch around there to keep the weeds away, so you don't have to weed eat after you.
Yeah, and spray it with, and then don't put the mulch up against the trunk.
Exactly.
Keep it several inches away from the trunk. Everybody seems to like the volcano type mulch, and it's really a disaster. And the sad part about it is the commercial guys are the worst ones about doing it. The people that should know it best know it worst. So.
And if you haven't been
getting a lot of pictures out there.
Yeah. And if you haven't been getting a lot of rain and you have that mulch all up against there, when you do get rain, what's gonna take the rain? That mulch. It'll act as an umbrella taking it away. So keep a moat of bare, dry dirt there to keep the air circulation and to let the water really get in there. You'll still have weeds. Mulch is by no means a weed killer. I have the most marvelous weeds growing on mulch, but it does help slow it down so you can
Yeah.
see it faster to pull it
Glyphosate
out.
on the mulch too. You can spray the weeds sticking up out of the mulch and clean that up.
Sure. Not cypress mulch.
No, Melaleuca mulch in Florida, pine bark mulch up north.
Yeah, pine bark's fine. We grow and
Yeah.
harvest a lot of pine trees in Florida, and it's a great way to use the bark, basically. The rest of the pine tree is used for a million different things.
And it's a sustainable resource.
Yeah, it is, because pine trees grow relatively quickly, and we can grow them
I
like a
liked
crop, basically.
pine bark mulch in Florida. I used it. You know why I like it? It takes forever to break down, so it's cost efficient.
It's also
And
very readily available. Pine products tend to be a bit cheaper because they're so readily available here.
Yeah, and the big chunks help with the smothering of the weeds too.
Yeah. Pine products are certified Florida friendly,
As is the Melaleuca.
as is Melaleuca, eucalyptus,
Yes.
things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, guys, looks like it's about that time, so I think we're going to go ahead and wrap it up for today. Thank you so much for everybody who joined us live, and thank you for watching. For everybody who's watching this as a recording, I at least, will be back here next week. So hopefully I won't be by myself.
I will be in State College, so learning what it is to be a Penn State employee.
Learning what a Nittany lion is, right?
Learning what a Nittany lion's job is, yes.
I'm not sure what a Nittany
I'm not sure
lion
either.
is.
Nittany lion is just a mountain lion from the Nittany Mountains in that general region. It's a really simple answer. It's the Nittany Mountain Range, and they're talking about the mountain lions. You know, you call them panthers. They're called pumas, jaguars, catamounts.
See, a knight or a gator is pretty easy to understand. Start adding all these strange adjectives.
Yeah, I go to a pond and I know exactly what an alligator is.
He's just a pussycat. That's what it is.
Okay, well, hey everyone, thank you so much for joining us. We will be back here again next week. Until then, everybody take care and have a great week. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.